our fundamentals. You are going to take us through a little bit what it is like this week for the teams who are playing, what their preparation might be, what they're experiencing. And then we will discuss our final meal decisions. And then we'll move into the frenzy.
Yes.
So let's get started with what is Super Bowl week like for these players and these teams?
So last week, obviously, everyone practiced at their own facilities. And that, although I guess the main difference there is probably the ticket issues that crop up because you get, if my memory serves me correctly, you can purchase up to 20, 25 tickets. And trust me, everyone wants to go to the Super Bowl when you're going, right? So, and your coach is hammered into you get all your ticket stuff taken care of this week while we're here. But other than that, it's relatively a normal work week. That you probably get a day or two extra off just in terms of you have a whole 2 weeks to prep for the game. You want to keep things similar, take advantage of those extra days, but at the same time, get everyone healthy, get everyone rested as much as you can. Then, as we all know, because it's a big deal when teams fly into the host city, fly in Sunday night. When we did it back in January '95, Monday was the day we took our team picture. Now, since it's kind of, it's a long week, and so I'm assuming teams do things similarly. My experience was that the first part of the week we got to stay with our families at the hotel. So curfew check was kind of, we had curfew every night. I think the first night, like Sunday night, I want to say it was maybe 1 o'clock, then starts tapering down. I think Monday was 11 o'clock, and then but your family's allowed to stay with you, and it's kind of a, hey, call up, check, see if you're in your room versus the normal, they're opening the door. Hey, are you in here? Are you tucked in? Right. Um, and then, but at the end of the week, we left and went to a separate hotel for those last couple days. And so but I wanted to bring that up because we had, I think, upwards of 10 guys miss the team picture on
What?
Monday.
And
Yeah.
wait, what city was your Super Bowl in? I
Mine
don't
was in
remember.
Miami. So
Oh, right. Yes.
a great party town, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a handful of guys. It was 6 to 10 guys missed the team picture, so that started off our week. Wasn't great. Bobby Ross, who was such a, he had that military background, such a stickler for being disciplined, being where you're supposed to be. He was so upset.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then as the big day is Tuesday also, because that's the media day where everyone gets to, ask their silly questions.
Yes.
I know Jimmy Kimmel likes to send Guillermo to ask
Guillermo, he
silly
was
questions.
there. I was watching.
Yes. And there are some relevant uh, questions to the game and just, what everyone's experience is. And then after that, they try to dial into like this is because as you know, Tuesday's the main day off in the NFL. So then Wednesday through the end of the week, they try to make it as similar to a regular game as possible. And so my experience was again Bobby Ross, old school. We had 2 fully padded practices on Wednesday, Thursday. There was no let off. A lot of teams kind of back down on the hard work in terms of, because it's so late in the year. You're in the
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl, you played so many games, but Bobby Ross did not believe in that. He believed in we're going to still hit and still have physical practices leading up to the game. And then Friday, you back off again. And then that's the day that we went to a separate hotel, the players, just to kind of
Oh,
get away.
can I jump in there for a second? So in my head, I'm thinking the logistics of that all have got to be crazy because first of all, Super Bowl host city, a lot of people are in town.
Mhm.
Not, I
Yeah.
mean, aside from the teams and everyone that's traveling with the teams and the media
Yes.
and the performers and the fans, the hotel situation has got to be somewhat limited. I would think so. I mean, how in the world did they orchestrate all that? Because you don't know you're going to play in the Super Bowl until 2 weeks before.
Right.
Like that's kind of crazy to me when I think about things like that.
Well, if I remember correctly, we were nowhere near Miami, And the point of that
Okay.
is so hopefully no one gets tempted, sneaks out of the hotel, and you have, there's stories over the years about different guys
Right.
who have, Barrett Robbins famously missed the Super Bowl because and that was actually in San Diego, and
When he was in Mexico.
he ended up in Mexico, missed the game. So again, Miami, South Beach, they get us as far away from South Beach as they possibly can and still be able to get to the game on Sunday.
Do you think that's the case in most cities then? Probably. I don't know where they stayed when it was in Tampa.
Well, I think it depends. Certain cities have reputations that precede them, Miami being one of them. New
Well,
Orleans,
Tampa.
maybe to an extent, New Orleans, Tampa.
Minnesota, they probably didn't have any problems.
I'm sorry. Oh,
In
right. Exactly.
Minneapolis.
Exactly. Yes. Agreed. And you know what? For the record, I'm not a fan of cold weather Super Bowl. I'm
I
just
know.
not. And to be quite honest, even though we're no longer in the NFL, San Diego still should be used as a host city, right? It's just
Agreed. Oh, yeah.
everyone loved coming to San Diego. Whoa, what a great
Absolutely.
Super Bowl it was. I was seeing teammates I hadn't seen in years. I bumped into a teammate from UCLA who I didn't even know. Like, I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm here for the Super Bowl, right? Like, just so it's ridiculous that. Well, okay, I'm off. Let me get off my soapbox. Anyway,
Well, I will also say though that back when you were in your Super Bowl, there was no Airbnb. Like, so
no,
literally any fan who came to town for a Super Bowl,
needed a
they had to stay
hotel.
in a hotel.
Yes,
There were no other options. There's probably a few more options now, for fans and the performers anyway, of where
yes.
they could stay.
Some of the cool things about this week for the players are that because most players have shoe contracts with whether it's Nike or to be quite honest, I don't know every uh, shoe company out there that has a contract with the NFL and can have contracts, but when you do, you get a nice big Super Bowl package in terms of sweatsuits, shoes, gifts for the family. So it's not just we previously talked about the money you get, but it is kind of like when you're in college and you go to a bowl game, the host committee gives you a bunch of super cool gifts.
Yeah.
Maybe watches that have the NFL the Super Bowl for that year's logo and blazer. So you get a lot of swag, right? Which is kind of
Yeah.
cool. And a lot of
Yeah.
guys, especially the Chiefs guys, I imagine, as many Super Bowls as they have now been to, they're probably giving a lot of that stuff away. But it's still nice, right? Still nice to
Sure.
get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that goes on this week. The other thing is for teams that it's their first experience there. So both of these teams have been to the Super Bowl in the last couple few years.
2 years.
So one thing these teams will do, they obviously know, but new teams will find someone. And it's all these coaches all know each other. They'll talk to someone. Hey, what's the week like? So because it's planning again, they want to make it as similar as possible. But certain things are different. Take for example, during the game, halftime is much longer than the normal halftime because of the
Right.
time
Yeah.
show. Right, it's such an
Yeah. Yeah.
extravaganza. They're moving big pieces in and moving them out, and so
Clearing smoke out of the air.
right. So teams want to be prepared for that. Hey, it's not the normal deal. Hydrate, maybe even take your pads off, your shoulder pads off, cool down, and make sure you're stretched out because you will cool down just naturally. Make sure
Yeah.
you're stretched and ready to go for the second half. So there's a lot of logistical things, as you said, as you alluded to earlier, that are a little bit different this week, even though the big push, everyone hates the change. Everyone's trying to make it as similar to a regular season game as possible. So, and yeah, and you still have, like I said earlier in the week, you have an opportunity. You definitely have family and friends in town, so you get a chance to go out, experience some of the city. But again, you have a curfew that gets sooner and sooner as the week progresses. So,
So I envision the curfew. So when I was in high school and I was in the all-state choir in
mhm.
New Mexico,
Okay,
and we traveled from Santa Fe to Albuquerque, and once we got in our rooms and it was curfew, you know what they did?
what's that?
They taped our door. Like tape, put all this tape across everyone's door. So like if you got out, like they knew, or you
Right.
couldn't get out. But we just went out on the balcony and we figured it out. But did they tape your door?
No one taped the door. But a week like this, it's not just your team's security. Probably it's likely NFL security as well.
Right. Yeah.
They probably got people stationed on each floor at each
Yeah.
entrance to the floors, because again, especially in this day and age with how good people are with the digital piece and the technology piece, they know where they're staying. They know what
Right.
locker rooms they're probably staying at. And so, prank calls to the rooms. So they try to fight against all those type of things. And again, they don't want, and again, which is why
Didn't didn't one year, was it the Super Bowl, that there was like a false alarm fired something?
it sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Why are people such jerks? I swear. I don't like Kansas City, but I can't even imagine doing anything like that. That's just mean.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to win that way anyway if you were invested
No.
in it, right? Like,
Yeah.
so
What was your I mean, I know it was your rookie year and everything was probably like,
yes.
crazy exciting to you, but what would be the moment that stands out the most to you of your Super Bowl experience? The
Oh, good
one thing that you
question.
just know you'll never ever forget.
I think going out to the field, right? So most teams are very similar. Specialists go out, then the skill position goes out, then the strength positions go out last. And I remember being in the tunnel, waiting to go out, and like I was bright eyed and just trying to take it all in, and just like all the cameras, because there's so much more media. Yeah, it was crazy, right? And it was like, it was kind of, the sun was kind of setting, but it wasn't quite set, and just the way it looked. And so I remember how it looked running out on that field and how I felt running out. All I was doing was playing special teams at the time, but still, it was kind of a special feeling. Like, okay, man, how awesome will it be? And I kind of in the moment, I remembered how I felt when Gibson, our middle linebacker, knocked the pass down against Pittsburgh 2 weeks earlier. That feeling of elation when it was like, oh, we're going to Super Bowl, and I was kind of projecting if we got a similar moment like that, what it would feel like. Like it would be crazy. And so I was looking forward to that. And then unfortunately, like you do sometimes, we ran into a buzzsaw, and they were up 14 before we knew it. Couple busts in the secondary, and that's just, it went the way it went. But yeah, that's the moment I remember.
Well, that actually just gave me chills. I mean, because really, like, that's an experience that what percentage of people in the world ever have? It's,
Right.
something that's just so unique and had to be so cool.
Yes.
So cool.
Yeah. Very, very, very cool. And I got to, another thing is, I got to experience it with my parents and my sister. They obviously came down, and Uh, I had I didn't even use all 20 of my tickets. Like, I just didn't have that many people that were going to come down. A couple of my cousins came down, so I remember going to dinner with them a couple nights, and so that was a great experience, especially for my dad. He just always loved that type of stuff, and
Sure.
yeah,
Wow. That's very cool.
yeah.
We were in Miami this past weekend to early celebrate Elizabeth's birthday. And I do have to say, we had two really good meals down there.
Oh yeah, man, mine is great
Expensive,
food.
expensive, like kind of ridiculously expensive, honestly. But that's just the way it is right
Yeah,
now. But
yeah.
yeah, some really good meals.
Well,
One,
something else I'll tell you real quick is I was actually in Miami. Call it a month before that, because one of my best friends from my high school played for the Hurricanes at the time,
oh,
and they were playing in the Orange Bowl against Nebraska. We had the bye week, the first round of the playoffs, so I flew and watched him play in the Orange Bowl,
oh, that's cool.
hoping I'd get back, and then sure enough, we beat Miami, we beat Pittsburgh, and then we go back to Miami, right? So
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we digressed a little bit into food. Should we move into our meal planning, or is there
Sure.
anything else you want to share with us about this week?
No, no, no. We're all set. We can get into the food.
Let's get to the food. So I think that I finalized our menu here. We're just a small little group of our family. So I am thinking I am going to do the artichoke dip because that's just kind of a must have. It's so
Yeah.
good. And then I have recently discovered the best way to make quesadillas. I have a panini press.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking roasted vegetable quesadillas with my, remember when I was in Santa Fe, I was telling you about my favorite restaurant, The Shed. I have a couple jars of that sauce. So that for dipping.
Nice.
James is going to do wings based on your instructions. So blotting the chicken, there'll be a lot of blotting going on of chicken and artichokes here. So he's going to do wings. And then we are going to do a kale Caesar salad.
Okay.
I think that's going to be like the spread. And then maybe another, maybe some chips, maybe like something, maybe ice cream sandwiches for like dessert. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're thinking.
Okay.
I know it
Another.
doesn't really hold a candle to what you're doing.
Well, just quickly, I'll say a tip I forgot to mention last week is, especially if you're doing them in the oven, is before you put them in, after you blot them, if you give them a shellacking of butter
Oh,
before they go in, that helps crisp them up also.
okay, James, you got that shellacking with butter. I wrote it down too, in case you didn't hear me.
uh, So our menu is still kind of being sussed out right now, but we do know for lunch on, because obviously Saturday night's going to be a big night. The wine will be flowing. So uh, he typically, and he's doing it again. He's having I don't know what the company is or where they're from out here, but they do these tostada sandwiches,
Oh,
make them to order. They bring their truck and they bring all their
yum.
gear and everything. They set up right in the front yard and they make the tostada sandwiches. And there's always way too many, more than we can eat, right? Um, and then during the game, throughout the day, so Sunday is more than the plan. It's we graze all day, right? So I know steaks are going to go on. I know some type of chicken dish is going to go on. One of the guys does these great ribs. Tommy, he lives in Chicago. He's coming in from Chicago. Tommy does ribs. I'm not positive he's going to do them, but the ribs will be there if he chooses to do them, right? So we haven't finalized it, but we start talking about this literally like a month out. And so, because my buddy, he loves getting everyone's opinion. Oh, what do you think we should do on this day? Oh, what do you think we should do on that day, right? So there's going to be, all I know is there's going to be multiple proteins. But like I said, I probably eat the healthiest when he's in town because we always get multiple salads, rapini, what else? Always vegetables. So it's going to be awesome.
Well, this is what I don't like about the Super Bowl on East Coast time. So it doesn't start until the game starts at like 6:30.
Right.
It's so late. And so it
Yes.
goes so late. So we're basically eating dinner.
Yes.
So like trying to get, because like what's the point of like grazing if there's only so much Super Bowl pre-coverage I can watch, and trust me, I can watch a lot of it,
Right.
but it's especially since I don't care about the teams. So it's just kind of like sucky the time, and then it goes till so late.
Yeah.
I always liked the time in San Diego, and we used to always have a Super Bowl party, and it was perfect because people came around 1:30 or 2 game, and then everyone's gone by 7, and you can recover.
Yeah. Yeah. But Sunday football is definitely built for the West Coast.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, I'm excited, and you promised you would take pictures. I will
Yes.
also take pictures, although mine will not be as glorious as yours, I'm sure, but I'll make it look pretty.
One other cool thing, I don't know if you're going to have this at your party, but so we have squares going. We'll have
Yeah.
squares going. And I also I'm in charge of and put together a prop bet kind of sheet, 2 pages. There's
Okay.
like usually 25 questions. The first questions are point apiece. Then it goes up to three. Then there's like bonus questions. And
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, and I kind of, sometimes I just kind of repurpose the same one and just kind of come up with interesting questions. And I'm probably going to do that this year, but I don't know. And so that one isn't so much. That's only, I
Well,
think,
if you do that, send it to me.
sure, I will.
I mean, at this point, it's really just going to be three of us. I feel like I should invite some people over. It's
Yeah, but
just so late. It's just so late.
it's still fun to see if, is the anthem going to go past 2 minutes, right? Is whoever the half, like, I'll come up with some Kendrick Lamar question. But the key is it's got to be questions that you can quickly answer either as you go or right at the end of the game, because people lose their minds. They are not patient
Right.
at all. Like, as you're looking up answers, I learned that after the first time I did it. And unfortunately, I've won a square 2 years in a row, so I figure I'm due not to win anything this year on the squares. So,
Mm.
but
Well,
we'll see. We'll
maybe
see.
you'll
You'll never,
three-peat. You
yes.
might three-peat. I'd rather have you three-peat
Then the
than
Chiefs.
you know who.